and I am 100% guilty of this. I think we're led to believe that investing in something means it's going to be so much better, overhyped and way too expensive. Do you need to spend £50 on one? Absolutely not in my... Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. I was a little bit in two minds as to what to film today because kind of had like a mini request. If you guys saw my in and outs for 2024, I mentioned that I wasn't crazy about the Stanley Cup, and I kind of explained my reasons why. And after posting that on Instagram, a few people asked me if I would kind of share a few other things that I don't think are worth the money or are overhyped. Honestly, I don't have like that many things. I've kind of got like 5, but 2 are like specific actual things, and then 3 are kind of like a little bit more vague. So I was a bit unsure as to whether I should film this or not, but here we are, and I hope it's somewhat of an interesting video. Now, before we get started, just because I don't like these items or I don't think they're worth it, doesn't mean that they're not decent items or they don't serve a really good purpose for somebody. But to be honest with these, for the general person, I think these aren't quite right. And the other thing that I think is important to note is that maybe you and I are in different tax brackets. Maybe you have loads of money, so maybe this is like more, I don't know, you can kind of afford to spend X amount on something. This is just my opinion with my bank balance and my view, I guess, on spending money. So first one, let's go for the Stanley Cup, because since we've already kind of briefly spoken about it, I mentioned in my 2024 in and outs that this for me is an out, and I stick by it. I just think this is such an overhyped product. It's just a cup. Yes, a large cup. Yes, it has a straw. Yes, I like the straw. It has a handle. Honestly, I feel like the handle is so unnecessary. I just don't get it. I kind of do, I guess. I guess with all, and myself very much included, kind of can get suckered into being really excited by stuff that we don't need, and that's capitalism, I guess. I was sent this by a brand, not by Stanley, by like another brand that kind of put this in their mailer. And when this arrived, I was so excited, and I did use it for a couple of months, maybe 3 months. Sorry, this light is going in and out. Since then, guess what? Someone else sent me a cup and I moved on to that. And okay, maybe like not everyone's got as many cups as me, but I feel like at this point, most of us have too many cups at home, and we're thinking, oh, if I buy that new cup, maybe I'll drink more water. And that just doesn't happen, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, I think I drink a lot of water, but I don't think because I had the Stanley and it's slightly bigger, I drank any more than I did when I had, for example, the Starbucks cups with a straw. Yes, you need a cup for at home. Yes, one with a lid and one with a straw. Excellent. Would highly recommend one. Do you need to spend £50 on one? Absolutely not, in my opinion. And will this be any different to another Starbucks, to the Starbucks one? Probably not. If you follow me on Instagram, you may see that I mentioned this weighs 1.8 kilos when it's full. That is insane, in my opinion. It holds a lot of water, yes it does, but actually, even again, I have a non-branded Starbucks cup. I have too many cups. Don't we all have too many cups? I am buying no more cups for the foreseeable future, but at one point I didn't have any, and then someone bought me a Starbucks cup, and then they bought me 2, and then they also bought me a few like plastic ones with a straw. Don't get me wrong, I'm very thankful, and I use them a lot. What I'm saying is, it's just a trend, isn't it? I really don't think you need this. I think it's very important that we kind of like are careful to not get suckered into trends and being like, yeah, I need that cup because my favorite influencer has it. You don't need it. I've even seen influencers have like 10 of these, 20 of these. Blows my mind that there are water influencers. I think it's important to remember that's their jobs. We do not need all those cups. What I do think you need though, I think you need a bottle for your handbag and to just carry around. And then for at home, I think you need a cup with a lid and a straw, as I mentioned. This I don't think is the best one because it actually does leak more, I think, than other ones. I can't remember if, for example, the Starbucks one leaks or it doesn't. The thermos one I think doesn't leak that much. I also don't think the leaking is that big of a deal. Like, how often do you spill a cup at home? I don't think that much. For me, it absolutely doesn't need a handle. This would be as comfortable to hold as this, in my opinion. I think get one that's slightly smaller because also I think getting up, from your desk, for example. To fill this up is giving your eyes a little rest. You're moving your body, even if it is for half a minute, but it's kind of like you're doing something. Honestly, I just think it's too expensive. I think for someone it may serve a purpose, kind of. I don't think it's worth £50. We have a fake standing upstairs. It used to be mine. Again, a brand sent me it, and then I gave it to Michael, which again we do use. I do think it's a bit more flimsy than this one. Like actually the top of that one has broken. To be honest, if you really wanted one, I think, I don't know, because that one has broken. Do I think get this one? I mean, if you really want this and genuinely don't have any other cups, I think, okay, maybe get this. I really just don't think it's worth it. It does keep water cold or warm. I don't think it does it for like a prolonged period of time. And also in the UK, I just feel like my water's always cold anyway, because it's cold. Maybe in the summer it's kind of nice to have one that keeps your water cold, but for example, this summer was using my my Starbucks plastic cup, chuck a bit of ice in there and it stays cold for long enough, because obviously I am drinking the water. It doesn't have to remain cold for 12 hours because I would have finished the water within the 12 hours. At the moment, what I am using is this one from Thermos. I was sent this one by Thermos. I think it's important to say that, but I do really like this one. Again, I don't necessarily like it that much more than a Starbucks one. I do slightly, because it has a it has a tight screw-on lid, which I really like. But I will say that these metal straws really freak me out, because I have like a fear that one day I'll be drinking and like walking downstairs and I'll like fall over and it will really hurt me. But I am just careful not to drink it and walk, to be honest. I'm just saying, generally most of us probably don't need another cup, especially if you've got a cup that's already got a straw and you've got a bottle for your handbag. But if you don't have one, I do like this, but even this is like a tiny bit expensive. Again, I've said this like 4 times now, I do like the Starbucks cups. They're also a good size. Really what I'm saying is the Stanley Cup, overhyped and way too expensive. On from that, let's just go for a general one. Expensive skincare. My reasoning behind this kind of falls into one of the other ones as well, and that is because I think we're led to believe that investing in something means it's going to be so much better, or that it's going to change our lives. And the truth is, I've used a lot of expensive products. That's probably terribly unlikely. If you have a moisturizer that you really like and costs £25, timesing that number by 10 doesn't necessarily mean you're going to find a moisturizer that you like more. That doesn't mean that I'm saying that I don't think expensive skincare is worth it. I do, to a certain degree. I think there is a cut-off point. I think anything over like, I'm gonna say about £80, I just cannot see the value of it. That's a wild price. Again, you might not think too much about spending £80, but for me personally, £80 is quite a significant number, and I think even £80 that you really need to be liking that product to even mildly justify that. And sometimes I feel like it's just not worth the price increase. Like, yes, sometimes I'll have a serum that I really like that is £80, but then I'll have a serum that is pretty damn good that is £20, and it's just kind of like weighing up the pros and cons. And generally I really don't think there's that much difference. Some people will say, oh yeah, the ingredients are different. Slightly sometimes. I do think sometimes there's more research done early on the more expensive brands, and what I mean by that is a brand like L'Oreal, they'll kind of invest a lot of money into their really premium skincare, but then they own all the more affordable brands, and if you wait like a year, that technology pretty much always will filter down, and you'll be able to get a £20 product that is, in my opinion, almost always very similar to the really expensive product. Obviously paying for packaging, and don't get me wrong, the experience of applying skincare is a joy if the product is beautiful, but again, it comes to like weighing up the pros and cons, and for me personally, I think almost always really expensive skincare just isn't worth it. My next thing is candles. Now, don't get me wrong, I have candles. Honestly, I'll put my hands up, I have too many candles at the moment. I don't like them. I've done a little bit of research into them. I don't think most of them are that good for your health. Some people say that soy is a little bit better. Some people say that beeswax is a little bit better. But most candles, especially like the affordable ones that people are buying from like Bath & Body Works or, I don't know, IKEA, or even like your local Sainsbury's, like they're probably going to be paraffin wax, which isn't really that good for your health. I don't think it's that good for your house, and it's just something that I just don't think is worth the hype. Don't get me wrong, yes, have a nice candle, burn it occasionally, burn it in a very well ventilated room if you wish. But I think it's kind of become this like got to collect them all thing where people have to buy like all the Bath and Body Works candles. This is quite similar, I guess, to Stanley cups, so people have like loads and loads of cups and also loads and loads of Stanley cups. Candles burn for quite a long time. There is some research to show that it's not good to be inhaling that, and also they can leave, especially like the cheaper candles, like dark patches on your walls and on your ceiling or wherever you're burning it. And honestly, candles are really expensive. If you're buying something like a Jo Malone candle, it's like £50, I think. And I understand, especially something like a Jo Malone candle and or a diptyque, they look beautiful. For me personally, I just don't think, I can't see myself buying a candle anytime soon. I'm talking years. Yes, like I said, I do have a couple at the moment. I have some neon candles which I do quite like. I think they're a little bit cleaner than some candles. I'm not saying they are clean, but they're just a little bit cleaner. I try to only burn candles in like a big space, like I keep my doors open, and honestly I don't really burn candles anymore. I think last year I did, but I've kind of done a little bit of research into them and I just don't think they're that good for our health, and I can see the appeal of them, but I try to avoid it. I also generally try to avoid like home scents too much, as in like reed diffusers and like electric diffusers or even like plug-in diffusers. I do have a couple in the house, but I try to avoid it because I think even those scents probably aren't the best for us. Next is, this needs to have lots of everything. This kind of goes again with candles, but with candles I don't think it's just the amount people own that's bad. I think it's what they're letting off. But I just think that generally, and I am 100% guilty of this, but I can kind of justify it a little bit because I do make videos online, but I just think like having too much of anything is just not great and something that we should all be kind of avoiding, unless again maybe you need it for work. At one point in my life I think I had like 700 nail polishes. 700! That's like a nail polish a day for 2 entire years. Like that blows my mind. Like admittedly I hadn't bought most of them, they were being sent to me. It was a time where I think creators online were being sent a stupid amount of products. Actually, you know what, maybe I was buying some at the time, at the very beginning of when I like started that collection, but now I have a tiny nail polish collection and I think it makes me happier. There's less product and I'm spending less money and creating less waste, and I think that's very important. I think TikTok or even YouTube, again I do think this is getting a little bit better on YouTube, but maybe not so much on TikTok, leads us to believe that we need 50 lipsticks, which just simply isn't the case, or like 10 pairs of boots. Again, not the case. I think going forward for me personally, I'm trying to kind of reduce the amount of things I have and buy better quality. Again, that doesn't mean more expensive, but it just means that looking at what something's made out of, really researching before I purchase anything. And I just think that's really important. I think we have so much information online nowadays. It's so easy to find people's reviews on TikTok or anywhere else. But that said, I think it's equally very easy to get sucked into thinking you need everything your favourite creator is talking about, which I just do not think is the case. Then I'll talk about my second actual product. And honestly, this is one that I've really been oohing and ahhing over because I have thoughts about this. And that is my Shark, what are these called? Gosh, I should know. Basically like my Shark dupe for the Dyson Airwrap. And I truly think that what I'm going to say about the Shark applies exactly the same to the Dyson Airwrap. So I have a Shark. Again, this was sent to me, oh, maybe I would say over a year ago now. And actually, you know what, I really have used this, but I just don't think it's worth the money. So it comes with 2 brushes, a flat one and like a round. It also comes with, and I don't have it down here, I have it upstairs, but I'm sure you'll know exactly what I mean, that product that like it sucks your hair around it and it like kind of curls it. And it also comes with a diffuser. This is called the Flex Style. I just googled it and it retails for $2.40, so I think it's slightly cheaper than it used to be. You can probably get it, they come in different colours, but you can probably get it for even less, maybe like $2.15 at the moment in Boots. It does also come with an attachment, maybe I've got it down here actually. It also comes with the like blow dryer attachment as well, and then this pops out so that you can blow dry with this part or have the brush attached to it. Now this is, in my opinion, relatively expensive. Okay, it's much cheaper than the Dyson, but I just don't think this is worth it. Initially I was quite excited about it, and like I said, I really did use it for a long time, but I've decided that this just isn't as good as my blow dryer. I just can't get the same finish. Today I blow dried my hair. I'm not saying it's amazing. I feel like I have much more control with a brush than I do with the Dyson Airwrap. I have to use this size if I wanted like a round brush, which is actually quite big. The usual brush I use is much smaller, but like I have short layers. I'm trying to grow them out, but if you have short hair, I just think this is huge. Like, it's too big. You think you need a lot of product for it to hold. The other sucky one, which I feel like is what really attracts people to it, I think doesn't work with my hair type because again my layers are too short. Again, you just don't have control like you do with other hair tools, in my opinion. I guess it is for someone that wants a kind of like blow dried look, but in order to have that blow dried look you have to have a very specific type of hair. I think your hair has to be longer than mine, in my opinion. You have to have maybe like longer layers than I do. My short layers, oh, they're just really annoying me. I think my big issue with this is that I think having so many people talk about the Dyson or the Shark Flex Styler, is that what it's called? I think so. It's kind of led people to believe that investing this amount of money, which is like £200, will mean that they always have beautiful hair. But I think sometimes people forget that, like, in order for you to have that perfectly curled hair, that's a time investment. And I think it's so easy to think that actually, like, once I have that one product, yeah, I'm always going to be drying my hair. And people forget to like ask, like, does that product fit with my personal lifestyle? Like, do I have that extra half an hour to dry my hair after I dry it, or am I going to buy the product, use it for 4 months, and then actually decide, oh, I can't be bothered to keep drying my hair, I'm just going to let it air dry, like I have done for the last 10 years. And I think that happens very often. The other thing is, like I said, I just don't think this is that versatile. If, for example, I curled my hair today with the curly attachment, and then tomorrow it looked a bit flat and I needed to curl it a little bit more, I'd have to use a hair tong, because this is a from wet product really. I guess in theory you could like mist it down, but I just don't think it's ideal. You can't really control like the kind of curl that you get. Usually if you're using a brush and a blow dryer, you would aim the air in the direction you want the hair to kind of like sit, but when you're using something like this, the air's coming like in all directions, which I think means that the fibers of your hair, are they fibers? Your hair kind of doesn't lay all in the same direction, which you'd be able to achieve more so with a regular blow dryer. But again, that said, for some people £200 for a hair tool is not an investment, and maybe for some people it works, and of course it does, because we've seen so many rave reviews. For some people I'm sure it does work. I think if you have quite long hair, maybe not even super long, but quite long, and you do want that bouncy look, then maybe it's worth it. But I do think it's important to ask yourself, will I blow dry my hair enough? I think also if you have very little hair experience, will you find the waving tool easy enough to use? I do think these are quite easy to use, but then if you're just after something that is like a big styler, I think there are cheaper products that just have this specific type of head. Now have gone back to using a Shark blow dryer. I really like it. For a while I used this Shark blow dryer. I prefer the one that's just a blow dryer. I think maybe it's slightly stronger. I'm not saying that this isn't for someone out there, but I think for the majority of people this is probably going to be a bit of a fad. And I used mine actually for about a year, but then basically I went on holiday and I didn't take this, and I was like, wait, my hair's better when I just use a round brush, so why am I using this? And I think it's because it's an expensive product, it's a hyped product. I totally understand kind of like getting sucked in by it, but I don't think necessarily necessary. But thank you so much for watching. I will be back next Thursday. Next Thursday, what I think I'm going to do is rate all of my beauty gadgets. So that will be anything from my Shark Flexi Styler, my GHD straighteners, to my at-home nail kits, to my electric toothbrush, to an LED mask. I will be talking about all of them. I'm telling you what you should consider buying and what, in my opinion, you don't need. I'll leave you to guess where I'm going to place this. I haven't decided like what the categories are going to be yet. But thank you so much for watching. Please do subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed it. As always, I love when you guys leave me comments, and I have seen there's been like a little increase in comments, and that really does mean the world. I even saw some people like chatting in the comments, which is really lovely. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.